Good morning and welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It is great to see you this morning. Am I in the right window? I'm in the right window. Great to see you. My pictures moved way over, which makes me think, whoa, things are different this morning. Do you notice anything different this morning? And do you remember this view behind me here? It's been a long time. Make sure I am in the right window. Hang on. That's green screen. That's no good. Hang on. I guess I was okay. It just looks different. Maybe it's because I'm sitting in a different room. This is such a throwback. You remember the chair? This is where we used to be every episode, all the time. I thought, I haven't had time to finish the mantle in the other room, and it's still looking very Halloweeny. So I thought, I'm just going to change rooms. That's the easiest way to deal with this for today anyway. So welcome back to the pink room. And it's going to be a really fun show today. I was really struggling with, because I've been busy as a moth in a sweater closet. And and I thought this morning, gosh, what can I do for my commentary today? And I thought, we have not looked at rugs that are currently for sale in a really long time, and we should stay on top of it, because it could be that spectacular rugs have come and gone, and I've missed seeing them, and I've missed talking about them, and we've missed noting them altogether. And that really is a scary state of affairs, right? We're supposed to be on top of this stuff. So today we're going to look at some of the rugs that are for sale on eBay right now and whether they're good or bad. And during the course of the episode, as we look at them, you may want to give me like the thumbs up, think that's a good deal, or the thumbs down, think it's a bad, I don't know if the thumbs down is even an option. Think it's a bad deal. Don't think it's worth the money. We'll talk about the value on these rugs. In today's market. There's no point in talking about what we think they're worth, because we know how much it takes to make them in terms of like expense of supplies, but also time. So we can't talk about it in those terms, because it's apples and oranges, isn't it? If people are buying them who are not rug hookers, then we have to talk about rugs in terms of the market right now. So that's what we're going to be looking at as we look at some beautiful rugs today. But first, let me say hello to all my buddies who are here. Anita, great to see you. I'm glad you got your mermaids. I hope you enjoy doing that. It's a beautiful pattern. April, great to see you. Happy coffee time in Illinois. Robin, great to see you. You are watching from Minnesota. I hope you're having a great day. I'm so tempted to do, Robin, I can't do spoiler alert, can I, on the book? Can I? Can I do spoiler alert? I'll wait. We'll save that for Friday. Good thing I said that. I'm going to run our weekend show, our crossword puzzle show, and I've got to get the crossword puzzle. I'll get that going Sunday. I'm going to have to run that Sunday night, because today is my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to you. And we're going to be celebrating this weekend. So my sister and I are headed back to my mom's again this weekend, just the three of us, to be together on Friday night. And then we're headed over to, on Saturday, the Big E Fairgrounds again in Springfield, Mass, because they're having a Christmas craft market called the Old Deerfield Craft Market. I guess it's like an annual market. Should be a lot of fun. There might be some of the same people I saw at the Fiber Fest. I know my friend Angelina Fleury is going to be there. She does the needle felting. And I'm curious to see who else is going to be there. But the main thing is to celebrate the Mama Bear. So I'll be doing that on Friday night. And I'll run the show on Sunday. That will work. That'll work great. I will also be running a show on Thanksgiving morning. I don't have the details of that yet, but I think I will do that. I have felt not guilty, but I felt a bit disconnected every Thanksgiving for the last 2 years, since the last Thanksgiving morning when I ran a live show, just for maybe like a half-hour show, just to say good morning, do some interesting content, and get you off going. Particularly if you're not, doing something busy on Thursday. I know a lot of people are viewing from outside of the U.S., and there are a lot of people in the U.S. who are not close to family members and don't have a big plan for the day, that it would be nice to have something to think about and to look at, So we'll do that too. But otherwise, we have a normal course of episodes coming up. So today, Sunday, Monday, and then I'll be on Wednesday, Thursday for Thanksgiving as a bonus show. And next Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, we're going to do a 2-window live stream. So it's going to be me here live with you chatting on the edge, and my good friend Rebecca Martin of Storyteller Wool. Her book is coming out. And if you belong to the book club, the Rug Hooking Magazine book club, then you might already have the book. But her book is just coming out. It's not for sale yet. So it's only gone to book club members, as far as I know. And she's seen it, and I have a copy, and it is amazing. So we're going to be getting the first kind of live look. The first conversation about that book will be the day after Thanksgiving. That will be Friday. That will be our Friday show next week. So we'll be on live together. That should be a lot of fun. And let's see. Sue's hello in Kansas. Great to see you. Jane, great to see you in Wales. I left you a message. I hope you got it. Andrea, 2 buddies in a row from the UK. Good evening. You need cheering up. Yet another cold. Yeah, it has to go by Sunday. Yet another cold. It has to go by Sunday. We're off to York for the week. Never been. Visiting Howard Castle. Oh, how fun. Viking Center. I love York. It is super fun. I haven't been there for years. It is super, super fun. What a cute little network of streets to pop around and shop and snap photos, and oh, it's very fun. And I know that you'll get better by Sunday. That's tons. You have loads of time to pull it together. And when you get there, you will be a firecracker. You'll be a fireball rolling through the alleyways of York, collecting inspiration and thoughts and ideas. You will be on fire. It's going to be fine. But good to be resting right now, right? Just to ensure that ending. Diane, great to see you. Hello. Diane, I sent a beautiful order for you yesterday, and it's going to be a 3 installment order. But yeah, I think yesterday, what did I send? I sent the Josses 2, the cat, the herd of horses, the Halloween, well, the fluffy with the little spider coming down, the kiss. Yeah, those might be the 4 that I sent yesterday. I've been doing some beautiful dyeing for those, so more on that. I can't wait for you to start working on them and see how it's going. I'm sure they're going to be beautiful. Linda, great to see you in sunshiny Jersey. Oh, you have sunshine over there. Lucky you. We've got wind. We've got blasts. Things could change, but this is like blasting wintry air. I heard that this is like an El Nino year again, where it's like, we're not going to get, prediction, we're not going to get a ton of like wet weather, snow, freezing rain, wintry mix, but it will be cold. So, I heard that word of mouth. I'm certainly not a meteorologist, but I'm hoping that we get some snow, to tell you the truth. I'm a New Englander. We would love to put the sleds down in the snow at some point this winter. We did it one time last summer, and that was on my birthday. That's February 28th, right? Right at the end of February. Until then, we'd had a little bit of snow, but it was like they do this thing now. They're so chintzy at the school. They do this thing where, they just don't call snow days anymore for us in Connecticut. They just don't. I mean, I grew up in Rhode Island, still southern New England. They called snow days quite a bit back in the day. Of course, the weather was different, I know. But even when it snows, they'll do like 2-hour delay, and it's like, seriously, could the kids go out snowing or build a snowman or something? By the time, that's nothing. By the time I get them out of bed and they get over complaining that it isn't a snow day, it's going to be time to go to school anyway. So chintzy these days. Oh, Ruth, great to see you. Good morning. Good to see you, my buddy. Goretti, great to see you. Good morning. And Judy, happy birthday to Helen. That's it. I don't know if she's on today. She might be out. She's probably out with her buddies celebrating. She's often out with her art group. Yeah, she'll see it later and she'll be happy for you're getting a bunch of, in case the thread doesn't pop up, Mom, you're getting a bunch of happy birthdays. She is a great mama. I love being with that mama. She is a great inspiration. So artsy. She showed me some of her new watercolors when I was there last weekend. She's been doing such beautiful work. Linda B, happy birthday. Cats Gallery, happy birthday. Goretti, happy birthday. Oh, thank you so much. She'll be so happy. April, it is a great. Oh, April, do you have Rebecca's book already? Oh, fantastic. So some of you have happy birthday week. That's it. I had Teddy call her as we walked to school this morning. Teddy's finally back in school. He's been out for the last 2 days. And then with Friday off, that means he had 5 days off, which was kind of crazy. But he actually looked amazing this morning. he not only looked better, he looked better than he did before he got sick in a weird way. He didn't blow his nose or anything on the, I mean, it's a long walk from our house. It's a long walk. I mean, it's probably like, I don't know, a mile and a half, something like that, something like that. But, you know, it's cold in the morning and we're trying to lose weight. But he got out to school and he called Gami on the way to say happy birthday. And I could hear her voice on the phone. She was so happy. Oh, fun, fun. It is, Diane. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. And you'll see, Diane, I put in a pack that's for the tomato pincushion that you already got, but it's the little silver ones. I needed to reorder the silver felt to do the pins on the pin cushions, but you'll see that in a separate bag. It's marked, so you'll see that when it gets there. I got Rebecca's book a few days ago. Oh, wow. Did you, April? Interesting. She was wondering what the timeline was and who'd gotten the book so far. So yeah, I'm very eager to review Rebecca's book because she's like one of my closest friends in my life. I really love her. I love her work. I want to celebrate everything she does every time she does anything, and this is a big deal. This is her first book. I'm sure the first of many, and she's such a great teacher too. You know, I know that she's going to be one of the lasting kind of personalities in this business, and that she will be there for. She's a little bit younger than me, right? She's younger than me, so she's going to be there for a long time, teaching and designing and working and evolving, and yeah, I always love what she does. She has a very different style than I do. She's a very different person than I am. She's very tidy, neat, contemporary, clean lines. And she's very interested in sort of sampler effects. Like she does lots of different kinds of stitches and fills and just different effects. She's very good at kind of the sampler piece and like almost resembling needle arts, you know, really very different, very different. She's just a wonderful person and a wonderful teacher. She deserves to be celebrated, and we will start by talking about her book on that Friday night together. And you can bring all your questions to her directly because we will both be live from her from Colorado, me from Connecticut. And it'll be a great time. Thank you so much, Diane. Isn't it funny how eBay, as usual, right? Isn't it funny how when you button it, the pumpkin actually like is a pumpkin? You know how usually when you get these kinds of novelty sweaters, when you do them up, it's all like askew. And sometimes it's artsy and cool, but with this one, it actually makes oh my God, it makes a pumpkin, right? That's all it takes these days to get me going. It makes a pumpkin. Thank you so much. I forgot to wear it last year, so thank you for noticing. All right, what have I got? I think that's it. I've got a bunch of things to tell you, but I've been recording videos like crazy. Another video is going to come out today because I did put the product together for, do you have a drawing in your life that a little one has done, a child, a grandchild, a buddy, whatever, that or something of yours that you wanted on backing or you wanted as a kit. I'm going to be pricing that stuff according to it's not custom. That's what I mean. It's not custom. I'm not going to be putting custom prices on this stuff. I'm going to be pricing things if you want either the pattern on any backing or a kit. It's going to be at the same price it would be if I was kitting it or making the pattern anyway. So we're not looking at custom kind of pricing. I just want to create a service that is known so that if a little one in your life draws something amazing and you think, oh, I want to do it as a rug, I want to put it in a frame or I want to put it on the floor or whatever, but I don't want to deal with transfer and I don't want to buy backing and I don't want to figure that part out. I don't even want to figure out the materials. Just make it for me. I want to be able to do that because I think I think it's important for us to all be doing heirloom stuff. And you might not be a person who wants to do sort of the back end of it, right? Wants to do all of the steps from beginning to end. You might just want to be, give me the thing and let me start working on it. So that's going to be available later this afternoon. We already recorded that video, and yesterday I recorded the Robert Frost video showing you how we're going to be incorporating stencil designs, which I'm evolving now, right? I'm thinking about the class, working on the class now, because it doesn't start for over 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, I think, at night is the first Robert Frost, and then that Sunday. But I'm working on that now and deciding which poems we're going to be looking at and therefore what stencils we're going to need. So make sure that you're signed up for that because that will be fun. Oh, you have one that your granddaughter drew. That is going to be perfect. Perfect. And for mine, I was even using Jocelyn's jeans and clothing. Oh my God, she came out of her room today. I mean, there's something so wrong with us. I can't, I can't imagine that other families are as scattered and screwy as mine. As I love them, but it's like, it's like, what did Irma Bombach say? She said something about her granddaughter in one of her books that was like, the way she's dressed, like the layers of crazy clothes that don't match and don't even fit, and the shoes and the hair and the accessories and everything. She's like, the only accessory she's missing is an empty gin bottle, which when I saw my daughter come out of her room today with a Halloween shirt and a shirt layered over it that was like literally 3 sizes too small, like 3 years too small. I thought of that quote and I thought, good God, what is wrong with us? But aren't they darling? Aren't they darling? Are they darling? It's hard to tell sometimes. It's so frantic in the mornings. All right, let's go. Let's see what we got. So, there's some fun stuff coming up. And I put the advent calendars back in stock. I totally ran out, and they are shipping me more bags immediately in a great hurry. Karen, great to see you. Great to see you, Black Forest, Colorado. So they will be back in stock. They are back in stock. Hopefully, I'll get them in the next few days. And this set of advent calendars, it's 25 days, right, of sort of luxury materials. This isn't like the autumn one that was Hocus Pocus, where it was. And by the way, I still have 2 videos to do from that, which I promise I will. This is different. This is just like bags of gifts. So you can open it all at once, or you can do it daily if you prefer, whatever you want. And there will be projects online that go with it, that go along with the Choose Your Own Adventure that I'll be doing the written story part of it. So we do have a lot of fun stuff happening that involves the British Christmas tradition, right? Jane Austen Christmas, like that elegant era of clothing and fabric, very sumptuous, right? Very, very fine. I have a few projects for all of us. I have quite a few projects built into the bags and 25 days of material. So this is back in stock. I saw a couple of them already sold, so we're probably down to under 10 again. I'm stocking them up like by the dozen just so I can keep a handle on it, because it is, for me, an expensive product to make. And even though I think it has a pretty big price tag on it. Is it like 95 or something like that? This is one of these not a huge profit things for me. This is a fun end of year adventy let's go thing for me. So I keep this stock kind of controlled because it's a big thing to put together. Frost class, make sure that you are signed up for this. Starts 2 weeks from today. 2 independent classes, a Wednesday and a Sunday, looking at the poems of Robert Frost while using stencils in the style of Edward Sands Frost and creating compositions based on stencils that will come to you a few days before the class that you can download and cut out. This product is also available. This is a hooking class, hook your own ugly sweater with a choice of 13 different motifs in the center of the sweater, tons of bling, tons of fun. There are a lot of new products up on Ribbon Candy Hooking. I hope that you got the most recent newsletter, and I hope you're seeing things that you like. Things that I like. Here's one of them. We are starting the content of the day right here. Oh, Judy says my daughter would have got along with Jocelyn. Man, she's she's so pretty and she's so smart. It's just the two of them together. Maybe it's just because I'm such an old mom, and I had them in my 40s, and maybe I just have completely lost my sense of humor. But sometimes I see them, like the other day, Teddy was like riding me to go out to GameStop because there was a new game coming out and he wanted to see if it was out. And we got to GameStop and I looked down and he not only didn't have proper shoes on, he had slippers on, right? And I'm not a fan of like wearing bedclothes out in public. I'm not a fan of that. But not only did he not have proper shoes on, but he had 2 different slippers on. I mean, you gotta work hard to be this disheveled, God, I'm telling you, stopping. Starting the content of the day. All of the rugs I'm about to show you in this episode are on eBay right now. I'll give you the prices. They can all be found. Hey, Kirsten. They can all be found under the category of antique hooked rugs. Type in antique hooked rugs because I didn't put tons of info for each of these. I figure you type in antique hooked rugs, and these that I'm going to show you are among the first 3 pages of rugs that come up. So I want to talk about value. I want to talk about the rugs themselves. I want to brainstorm together. And this one comes from Old Saybrook, Connecticut. So this is a Connecticut seller. This looks like a Magdalena rug, but clearly it's not. It's very, very different. Let's talk about that in a second. This rug is not in good condition, but I do believe it to be an early rug. I'd say late 19th century. Could be early 20th century. Could really be early 20th century. The more I look at it, the more I think it is. Let's start at the beginning. Does it look like a Magdalena rug? It does, because the animals are folky and not sort of articulated well. It doesn't in that the outlining is really prominent, which it isn't. Shannon, good to see you. Outlining is not super prominent with Magdalena. Light backgrounds are not very common with Magdalena. What is common with Magdalena is when she's got lights and darks to use. We're talking about Magdalena Bryner Eby, the 19th century, one of the, probably in my mind, the pioneer of rug hooking. Perry County, Pennsylvania, right? Very remote area at that time. And we go to her as kind of the benchmark for the early 19th century hooked rug, because we have great examples. We know who she is. We know a little bit about her life and the way that she worked. So I'm using her as a comparison. And if you're, oh, Denise, good to see you. Thank you so much. I better wear it now, right? Because after Thanksgiving, I'm going to be switching out to my Christmassy sweaters, my holiday sweaters, sorry. So I want to talk about the differences. If you don't know the artist Magdalena Bryner Eby, you could always do a Google, or you can look at my channel here, because I've done many shows on her. Now, if you already have an idea of what her work looks like locked into your mind, let's compare and contrast and say, number one, we don't see this kind of a border. We don't see a band around the edge. That's just something that we don't see. And if we do see any kind of a border, it's usually because she had run out of material, and there are animals and things that are kind of breaking the border and are intruding into the border. When she's using light colors, Magdalena, she doesn't block them like this. She tends to mix them in more marbly. This particular, not that I suspect this to be a Magdalena, it was the first thing I thought when I opened it, because I saw funny shaped little farm animals around a central house. I've also never seen her use a star like this, but other parts of it, the folk aspect of it, the way that some of the animals are upside down, but they're not upside down, because it appears that this rug was put in a high traffic area in the house, and that whatever side you're approaching it from, you're going to see some stuff face up, right? If you look at the horses sort of upside down from us, the 2 horse heads, that to me is the best part of the rug. I think that's extraordinarily well done. Little nostril, right? A very, very well done piece of the rug. Ryan, great to see you. It's absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of Magdalena motifs here, because I think this was done in another fairly remote, country, farmy area. So conversation about Magdalena over, right? There are a lot of similarities. It's definitely not a Magdalena rug. If you're thinking, what if it is a good investment? It's not. But it's absolutely beautiful. $825, let's get to that at the end. Is that, oh, Rita, the horses, right? The horses. I'll flip it for you in just a second. I'm just loving quite a few things about this rug. One of the things that throws me a little is that giant star in the center, because this is a person who's a really good artist. Really, not just the horses at the top that are upside down. There's a cat in there. There's like a bird with a little family of chicks. I think I see a fox upside down. It's quite well done. I like the way that the animals are done. The houses are done real well too. I particularly like the white house with the green trim. It was probably forest green at one point. It's absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of artistry here. I almost wish there was like a pond with a duck or something in the middle. There's a star. It's not offensive. I still really like it. It's just a funny choice, all things considered, because this is a person with so many ideas that they were like going around the border going, okay, let me put a little fence on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. Do you see the little gray fences? Yeah, let me put fox, squirrels. Let me put this animal, that animal. Okay, okay, here's a tree. Little bunny under the tree. Okay, let me put another, and then they get to the middle, and there's this huge prime piece of real estate in the middle of the composition, and they're like, I I'm going to drop in an oversized star. It's just a funny choice. Nothing wrong with it. The moon is beautiful too. The moon is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of motifs here that are absolutely grand. I love the way that everything is floating in space, right? Very 19th century, very primitive style. I really do love it. Star and all, honestly, I do really love it. Maybe it just gives your eye a rest having the star in the center like that. Maybe it had special meaning to the person who made it. It is a very oversized motif, all things considered. Choosing the star even over the moon, really beautiful. Let me flip this upside down. We're going to look at it in some different ways too, but let me just see if I can transform. There we go. That, I think hopefully that worked for you. And now we're seeing, oh gosh, that is a cute fox, isn't it? With the red top and the white bottom. That was hard to read upside down. And the horses. Oh, now I'm seeing, I didn't notice that there was like a sheep right to the right of the horses. This is a very crowded rug. It's really extraordinary. Wilderness Gal, just found your channel a few days ago thoroughly. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you here too. We try to do some exciting things here. There's always plenty to talk about, right? Thank God that there's so many days to be together. What a gift. And hopefully lots and lots more. I'm just crazy about this rug. I really am crazy about this rug. So $8.25. Here's some detail of the rug as we look at it. What are we thinking about in terms of the price tag? Now, I don't doubt that it's an old rug. I'm not convinced that it's a 19th century rug. I think it could easily be a 1920s rug, particularly, when I'm looking at this style of the outline, particularly with this motif, with the little chicks and stuff, it seems more 10s, 20s to me, but not necessarily, right? Chickens exist in the Victorian period too. Hard to tell. It's really hard to tell because I think that this rug was down in a very high traffic area, and for that reason, it took an extra big beating. And since that's the case, it's really hard to tell when a rug is this kind of used. It's really hard to tell the exact age. It certainly is a beautiful rug, and I think a really important rug. I think it's definitely worth $8.25, but in today's market, I don't think it's going to sell for $8.25 personally. One of the saving graces, I'm going to say, is the fact that the extraordinary amount of damage that's here is in the border. So while, if you're buying this rug, you have to be either at peace. I'm going to turn it, my OCD is like, okay, we saw the horses. Let me switch it back over. My feeling is you're either going to restore it. It's going to be a project. It's going to be a big projet, but it's well worth it, and it's very deserving. It's a very deserving rug. It doesn't get any more deserving than this in my mind. This is an original pattern. This is absolutely beautiful. It represents the 19th century rug hooking, if it is. Even if it's a little bit later, doesn't matter. It's done in that style. It's kind of a flippity-floppity, hit-or-miss style, using what you've got, using colors that you have at home, possibly some natural dyeing. I think I'd take off the border, Andrea says. Wouldn't be a bad call. It wouldn't be a bad call. Andrea, that's actually quite an interesting point. Andrea, that is quite a brilliant point because I'm looking at it too. Let's look at that bit of damage. I flipped away from it, but you can see that somebody has repaired the rug a long time ago with a different color brown for the border. And since then, there have been more offenses, and the rug is well and truly had it around the border. So the border has taken a beating because people have walked on it. But to Andrea's point, the inside of it is perfect. There might be some color issues that you might want to spot clean, or we won't even go there because in my mind the center is great. I really like Andrea's idea. I wonder if this would have to be such careful work that it's crazy. But if I had this rug, if it weren't $825, for example, if it were $200, right? I think that's very low. That's kind of chintzy. So let's say it's $300 or $350, right? I think that's a good price for this rug because it needs work. Are many people going to be at peace in general with buying this rug and, ribbon candy hooking? I'm in Connecticut. I'm in my studio's in Bethany and my house is in Hamden, Connecticut, the worst. But Connecticut's beautiful. Are many people going to be at peace with putting this on the wall, seeing all the tatty schmatties hanging off of it? Probably not, right? Because if you like folk art and you like artsy things, it's probably going to bother you. It would bother me, right? The tattiness would bother me because it's a beautiful piece of art, but it's not being sort of properly honored right now because it's in a shabby condition. So I feel like I would really want to not see that. So my choices are to restore it, right? To add material around the border, to do the fills through the thing. I think I would leave the old repair out of respect. And weirdly, that old repair on the left, that kind of half moon of dark, kind of fits in with the moon, with the actual moon in the composition. Isn't that funny? They kind of match. So I'm sort of loving that. I would have to be at peace with having it the way it is, knowing I would restore it, or I'm really liking Andrea's idea the most. If I had this piece, I think I would so carefully and slowly, right? Restoration style, restoration speed, be taking out the wool that's in the border. And I would be gingerly looking at that bottom left-hand corner. It's making my hand shake as I point to it on the screen. I'd be really, really careful. I would want to see how much I could get out. I would want to see if I could just get something of a bare backing right around the edge, even if it's a half an inch or less. Less would also be fine. Then I would be looking to hand stitch binding to it, and then I would want to flip it under right to the edge of the piece because the piece looks really well squared. And then if it were me, I would be really tempted if I was able to get that border off, right, get a nice crisp edge, turn it under very safely, lots of hand stitches, right, lots of not too tight because the burlap will want to go, but I would want to tuck it under, and then I would want to pin it, secure it, even bring it to a framer if you're not sure about mounting it. But I would want to mount it. You know how you often see a hooked rug mounted on like a canvas frame, like a painter's frame. You know what I'm trying to say? Like wood stretchers. You know how you often see that either solid or not solid. Usually you see solid, and it has like a colorful cloth over it before the rug is mounted to it, and that's a good thing because fiber against wood can build up gases and create rotting, whereas if there's a piece of fabric in between, right, in terms of conservation and longevity, that makes a lot more sense, right? Because there is a middleman between this ancient rug that has value and the wood that wants to give off gases. Oh, Maggie, good to see you. I hope you're feeling better today. Yeah, Andrew says if you cut loops on the top and bottom, there would be less to pull out. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I would first just see how tight those loops are in there, but you're right. If you did cut them on the top, there would be less stress pulling them through. Andrea, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. You are much more of a natural restorer than I am. I like that better. I would try it both ways first. I would try it not on one of the danger corners first and just see what I was looking at. There were no real close-ups of this piece, so I can't show anything too much closer, and I don't think the picture is of a quality that it would sort of benefit us by looking at it out of focus. You know what I mean? So I would try to do that, and I would want to bring it right to the edges, get rid of the dark border, which I don't think is doing it any favors, and I would be very tempted to mount it on a piece of cloth on a board that was maybe like a nice saffron color, right, or even a green. Look at the White House with like the green windows, the green that has become. That green too would be very pretty to me. It would almost be like a field beyond the story of the rug, which is a field. I would be, oh gosh, now I really want this rug. But $825 is a hefty price tag. I can't justify that for myself at Christmas. But I am personally going to keep an eye on this rug unless anybody else beats me to the punch. I know other people are way better not children Christmas small business situations than me. And if you love this rug, you should absolutely get it and take care of it and stabilize it. Make sure that this rug lives for many, many, many more years because it's absolutely deserving. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. I am really coming to love the star. I wish the star had a year in it, or I love this star. I'm going to stop, but I kind of wish it had the year in it. Then we would know, wouldn't we? Absolutely beautiful. So that's one of the rugs that's there for you on eBay right now. Now here's another beauty. This one in the different problem here. I'm sure immediately noticing that. This one's from Maine, and it's called 1920s Maine Antique Hooked Rug. This is another beautiful rug. I don't think it's an antique. I think it's a probably 1940s, 1950s rug. Maybe even it might even be newer than that. And I'm looking at this guy and thinking, yeah, I don't think it's 40s. I think it's newer. I think it's much newer, actually. I'm looking at the fill in the background, and it's just a feel for it. It's a 1940s era house, right? It's like a little country cape, but it doesn't mean that the rug is 1940s. When I'm looking at the sky and the pinks and the way that the sky is filled in, I'm thinking this is a fairly new rug. It has just had some very unfortunate moments. And obviously, the main one is the fact that there is a huge problem with being dyed or dye running in the center. I can't imagine where that dye is coming from. I think it was on something, or maybe it was folded and something was resting on top of it that pooped dye all over it, because there is a giant blob of a crease in the center that is very unfortunate because it's a beautiful piece. I want to talk about this, look at this, and try to figure this out. I'm looking at the grass too. I'm thinking this is quite a new rug. What is your opinion on this? I mean, when I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking about the timeline of rugs, the way that they have looked historically, the way the style of hooking has changed over the years, right? This is a more recent style. This to me looks like 1990s. And the thing that is throwing me is that damage. So, looking at it like this, okay, we clocked it. I think this is a contemporary rug, but there is a problem. So, let's dive deeper. I forget how much this rug costs. I think it was 125. It might be a little bit more. Now, here is the front and back of the rug. So, looks like Henri says, looks like the color has run under the green windows. Yeah, it looks, I'm going to pull the house closer up too. Also, the roof has had some changes. So it's almost like this part of the rug is okay, part of it isn't. And that crease is like a really firm line. It's like, was there something dark at the top of the chimney or something, and something really localized and wet hit it, and gravity took its toll and it ran down? Is that what happened? We'll look at the damage a lot closer up. Kirsten says it looks to me like the black got wet and ran. There is something damaged around the edges as well. Yeah, it does. But where did the black come from? I mean, was there black at the top of the chimney? We'll look at it closer up. Okay, you think it was folded. See, that's the only thing that seems to make sense. I'm looking at it too and thinking while I look. So this is a view of the front and the back. Now, when we look, the top one is the front, and on the back, it's like, are we getting, I'll stretch it open in a second, but are we getting more clues by looking at the back? I'm seeing pretty much the same smudge on the back. I'm seeing a little more color, so it means there's a little fading in the front, but I still think it's a very contemporary rug. I'll stretch it in a second. I just want to point out, if you're new, could have been smoke coming out of the chimney. I don't think it'd be black, though. I mean, that in itself would be that was a different kind of worrying. But I don't know. I don't know. I just want to say, in case you're new and you're watching, the top one has a gray border, and if you're looking at the bottom and going, why does the bottom one have a black and gray border? I don't get it. It's because the rug has been bound with black tape or twill and sewn over. So that black border is on the bottom, the back of the rug, and that is to bring the edges, to finish it, right? To finish the edges and bring it around the back and then stitch it down. Wilderness Gal says, regarding previous rugs, I'd mount it onto something gray in color, similar to the gray border, leaving it as, oh, I see what you mean, and add a green matte border around it and frame it. That's a great idea too. Putting a color behind it that was similar, the farm rug, similar to the original color. That's the best way, really, of honoring the original intention of the rug. I wish that we had, with that particular rug, the last one, the farm rug, I wish we had pictures of the back of it, because then we would know more. We would know more what the real colors were, and it would be a lot easier to get a feel for what the age of the rug actually is if we could see the back. Not just the fading, but like more giveaways, right? If we could see a closer up view of the materials that they've used, that can help to age the thing, to date the thing. Yeah, just to see technique, right? All of those things are clues, because just like with painting, different techniques are popular at different times. That's why with this rug, I know that it's a contemporary rug, because I'm looking at the grass and looking at the sky and going, people weren't doing that in 1940. So it's not a 1940. It's certainly not 1920. It's not a rug that's that old. It's just damaged. And you can't trust what people say on eBay, right? Or online in general. Even with proper auctions, you often get information that is absolutely not correct. No question, not opinion, not subjective, just absolutely wrong. So you have to be careful and ask questions when you're interested in buying something. Of course, if it's a rug that's only that doesn't cost very much, people are less inclined to be very forthcoming, because it's maybe not worth their time to waste a lot of time answering questions. You know what I mean? Let's look at. Let me lock that back in place. Let's look at the back of this rug a little bit. Okay, so this looks like it's on burlap. I'm not seeing it real well. I've got a much smaller view. So what I'm seeing is, it looks like it might have had a black cap on the chimney. I mean, I don't know why it would, because it would be so glaring, and even the shutters are done in dark green. It looks like, if we're looking at the back of it right now, but our current right-hand side, there's a lot of like bleaching going on. The whole right-hand side of the roof is like ghostly blanched out, like massive color loss. So, and if you look up at the cloud, it looks like the cloud was outlined a little bit darker, but there's massive color loss. I'm not sure what happened here. Very strange. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I think this rug might have gone into the washing machine. Look down on the bottom right at this view. You see there's another concentration of bushes that's like dark. It's maybe isn't black. It might be green. But Karen says, I also was thinking it had a black cap. Yeah, it could be black, or it could be the dark green. But if you look at the bleeding on the bottom right, that's a similar color bleed. It's not as bad of a bleed because it's down in the bushes, so it's not as glaring as the one that's in the middle of the light blue sky on the top of the White House, but it is similar. Maybe an animal peed on it and they tried to clean it. Yeah, I mean, God, the tale as old as time, right? That animal pees on something and then you got a problem. It looks like it was wet and it really ran. I'm thinking that now. It might be that it got wet and that they hung it and that it bled down, because there's a reason why it's bleeding horizontally. It's not bleeding in a circle around that cap. It's bleeding like horizontally. So it's like, how did they manage that? You know what I mean? It's almost like they, maybe it bled, and then, because then how do we explain that half of the roof is a lighter color? Do you think it's possible that it bled and then they attempted to spot clean and it didn't go well? I don't know. Karen says there's also bleeding on the left side of the tree on the right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same kind of bleeding, isn't it? The way it was put in the washer. Absolutely, it could be. Interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? Let's look at more photos of it. Yeah. Gosh, this is a bit of a puzzlement. I mean, I'd like to see this a lot closer up. I see a little bit of bleeding under the windows. There is major color loss on the left-hand side of this house. Gosh, it's a funny problem, isn't it? I mean, this is not a hopeless piece by any means. It's a beautiful piece and it's not an old piece. But it does need some attention. It's very noticeable. I would be really inclined. I mean, it's so beautifully done. Look at how beautiful the windows are, the grass, everything is really beautifully done. The black wool dye wasn't set. I think that's absolutely true. You know, sometimes when you're hooking, I just recorded a dyeing video, right? I have one more. I'm doing the silk ties when I get home, but I did the second half of the pig's breakfast last night. The first half was 2 hours long, so it's like a comprehensive dye class. It's available on Ribbon Candy Hooking. It comes with a bunch of stuff to follow along, and it's literally over 3 hours of class that you can watch anytime. It's recorded with different chapters of different things. And you know, I'm talking a lot in the video about setting your colors with heat. But people who are experimenting or you know, dyeing for the first time, if your colors are not set, right? If they're not set, when they're set, they're not going to run anymore. They're not going to bleed. They're absolutely set. You know, I'm not going to be able to reach it, but I bought some yarn somewhere, not recently. It is a beautiful blue color. And I was winding it and stuff and talking, and then I looked at my hands and they were a crazy color, and I went, oh Christ, and then I went, oh my God, it was the yarn. I mean, it was incredible how much I immediately thought like Treasure Island, I have the black spot or something like, and I must be sick. Oh God, I'm dying. But no, it was this stupid skein of yarn. It was incredible how much it bled all over my hands, and I'm like, wow, because it was sold, you know, as a hank, you know, as a nice whatever, and it had like the nice packaging with the thing around it, the cardboard thing that said the brand, and I'm thinking, whoa, this isn't set at all. I had 2 skeins of it to boot. So yeah, setting your colors is a big thing. The other thing is, I'm all for, and it's my number one, you know, thrust of the business for me is using recycled stuff and using thrifty stuff and cutting stuff up and using it. But once in a while, you use something that, even though it's from a garment, the color isn't set properly. That can happen too. That can happen on a commercial level. It doesn't just have to be a mistake, you know, boo-boo in the dye kitchen. It can be a piece of clothing that, I'm sure you've had this before, that you notice the color coming off from like a sweater or something, and it's like, you've got to be kidding me, but it does happen. So it could well be that. Well, Diva says, perfectly hooked. It's a shame that this happened. It really is. Happens a lot of times with sari silk. Yeah, with sari silk it does. There seems to be such a rush right now, and I love sari silk, but there seems to be such a rush with certain materials right now within fiber arts. Sari silk is one of them, where you get so many people suddenly producing sari silk, either the ribbon or the yarn, which is right spun, like it's a collection of material that's cut and then spun, and it's very, very thick yarn, very, very hard to hook with, but pretty for other things. There's such a rush on it right now that I feel that it's being manufactured both here and abroad, not very thoughtfully or carefully. It's just like more orders, and then you do get products that are not reliable in terms of using. You know, you don't want to put a material that is bleeding or that is likely to bleed, right, that is not set, next to your other colors, because it will rub off. It's dye and it's color. It will rub right off. So that's kind of scary, you know. That's a good point. I'm glad that you said that. Well, Diva, jeans back in the 70s, we all had blue legs. Is that true? I didn't know that. Was that a thing? How funny is that? Gosh, well, I mean, I remember things, you know, rubbing off on me, but I do wear a lot of older clothes too. I haven't had it with jeans, but I do wear a lot of I like older stuff, you know. I like to find stuff, and you just don't know until you have it on your body, and then you think you have leprosy, but no, it's rubbing off on you, right? And Diane says, Deanna, after you dye the wool and spin the salad spinner, can you then complete the dyed wool to dry? Yeah, so when I, you know, when I dye something, depending on what it is, right? Most things I dye, they go right in, I rinse them off. When I rinse them off, I look at the water running, you know, as in my hands, like scrunching it and squeezing it, the extra water. And if the water is running clear, I know that the dye has exhausted and that it's set into the fabric. right? Because heat has already set it, whether I'm using a casserole dish in the oven, whether I'm using the microwave, whether I'm using the surface of the oven and doing immersion dyeing, whatever technique I'm doing, I know that once I have the finished piece in my hand, and for example, if it's in the casserole dish, I'm looking, there's no more color in the casserole dish. I pick the piece up, there's no color under it, a little bit of water, but there's no color in the water. I'm squeezing it over my white sink. I have a double sink, it's both of them white. And I'm hoping most people's sinks are white, right, in this day and age. Although one of my girlfriends in Rhode Island in the bathroom has this beautiful eggplant colored sink, and I am so jealous of that. But the water's running clear, and it's all set, and then I put it into the salad spinner and I empty it, and then I put it through again. I feel like it's as dry as it can be, and then I just hang it up to dry. Right now I hang it up in the kitchen with towels under. I'm not putting stuff outside because it's too cold. And then I have a dehumidifier, a big one. That's right next to it. It's not very attractive, but it's pointed at the stuff, and it'll dry anything in a very short time. It's just sucking the moisture out, right, and going into a Tupperware thing, and you see the water just filling up. So when I do a lot of dyeing, I have that machine pointed right at it, just so I can dry things quickly. But yes, salad spinner into the stage of hanging and drying at that point. So let's come back here. I'm not moving quickly at all today, am I? I think we're on the second rug, being a real ding dong, because I've got a lot to look at too. We'll have to look again later. But yeah, I think we all are sorrowful over this rug because it is beautiful. But you know what? It could be reworked. This is another worthy rug. It's not an old rug, but you could easily take those loops out where the bleeding is. Even in the grass, you might not want to take out all of the bleeding, maybe just a few, so that you see how she's running like Starry Night, ziggity zags in the bottom. You could just take out some of that darkness because it does kind of read as a shadow. Just put one kind of medium value in there, right, to get back the feel of the grass. She did such lovely work in the grass with these different colors of noodles. I'd want to bring a little bit of that back, but you would have your work cut out for you both in the sky and with the house, because we've got two different kinds of colors of shutter here. As a project, it'd be really fun to take out the material, like for example, in the shutters, on the two bottom shutters, and over dye it until it's the color of the top shutters, and then try rehooking it. That'd be a fun exercise to see if that could work. I don't think this is an old rug. I don't think the materials are damaged. I think color-wise they're damaged, but I think as long as the burlap holds, that it could be fun to try to restore this rug with the materials from the rug. Yeah, this is burlap. This looks like probably a number 4 cut, maybe a number 5. Okay, the tweedy white, you can see that's a difficult material to hook with, but it's done a beautiful job on the front. Sometimes you get difficult materials and you just have to push through, right? Because they look so pretty on the right side. I think this would be a beautiful rug to take apart and think about putting back together, reworking that roof, reworking that sky. It could be done. And what a feather in your cap to be the one who does it and restores that rug, because it's very focused, the area where it's a problem. There's no holes, right? There's nothing that is literally gaping. It could be done, and it would be a fun project at that. So maybe somebody will go for that. And make sure if you do restoration projects that that you record it. Please record your projects really, really well. My friend Judy Taylor, she has the Facebook site. She has Raw Cooking Daily, right, that comes on email. She has the Facebook site, Restoring Old Rugs, I think it's called. She and I are about to work on a lifetime of projects together. So foreshadowing, if you are working on restoration projects, even if Judy already knows, be sure that you're documenting them really well for a project that we have coming up fairly soon. This is another beautiful one that is currently on eBay, and this one is $200. This is a geometric. I think the price is ambitious. It's absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Andrea. It's absolutely beautiful. And Waldiva says, even the shutters look like they bled a little. They totally look like they bled. You're right. There was a lot going on there, just on the house. That was a real problem. And I will say about the house, you could try over dyeing, matching stuff, or you could just take out the problem areas and rehook it. but it so much of it is still right, that weird bar over the chimney, and then the sort of disparity of color from one half of the house to the next, strange. um, but it would be so nice to see that restored and to go, oh, that, relatively small problems. These are not sewing problems, these are rehooking problems, color problems. These are not patching and sewing problems. This is in very good condition, I have to say. This isn't, I will look at it closer up. This isn't a really damaged rug, considering I think it's an early 20th century geometric. Geometrics were not considered really fancy back in the day. I mean, they were not revered the way that figural rugs were. They were used in kitchens and bathrooms, bedrooms. They were considered fast to do and not overly creative. And you would really be thrifting it up with your geometrics, really using your stuff from the rag bag. But it is a lovely piece. The way that the edges were finished then for rugs that hit the floor was that, like we were saying earlier, the edges were folded under and stitched down. And for that reason, every time your foot kind of caught the edge of the rug, it pulled it. There's no protection on the edges of the rugs. That's why the sort of whipped binding is much more popular now for rugs that are on the floor, because you get a little bumper of protection before you're actually standing on loops. Very easy for your shoe to grind out loops, right? Standing on the edge of a rug like this. I think this is probably 1920, something like that. It's a beautiful geometric. I think it was probably originally like lots of reds and bright colors, but I am loving it right now. It has a very sort of Native American palette, kind of a southwestern palette. Beautiful directional hooking in the background, all the different sort of khakis and browns, really lovely. I'm wondering what colors were originally in those two geometric squares that are tipped, the 9 patches. I wonder what the original colors for those were. We're seeing a lot of fade at this point. A lot of ghostly colors again, which is mysterious and beautiful. I'm guessing for me, because I'm not a fan, although I like bright colors, I don't like primaries, and we tend to see a lot of primaries in rugs of this era because of clothing, because of what was out there. I'm guessing that I'm loving this color palette probably more than I would have loved the original color palette. It's an absolutely beautiful rug. 200 is quite steep. I didn't write down prices for these. Again, if you just go into eBay and do antique cooked rug, you're going to see the ones that we've looked at this morning and more. You can see that the border was turned over and a very shallow border was stitched down with a needle. And a lot of that is gone too. So this rug is in immediate peril because there's not a lot of loss around the edges yet, but you can see the burlap is right to the row before the loops, right? It's like a flood is coming. It's bad. This rug needs to immediately be bought and pinned up. Unless you want to add a border to it. I don't know. For small geometric rugs like this, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen. That's not fair because each one is special and unique. But it's not a very high value rug. Certainly not in this market. And if we are talking about geometrics that are high value rugs, they're going to be a lot larger than this. One of my first thoughts was, could this be an Abenaki rug? And I really don't think that it is. I think this is a pattern I've seen before. I'm guessing it's Garrett Bluenose. They did a lot of Victorian era geometrics. We're seeing a lot of turn of the century geometrics that they did that were often based on what looked like Native American patterns. It's not impossible that it's an Abenaki rug because it is based on the premise of like two, right? There are two tipped diamonds. It's made up of two compartments, and that's a very Abenaki thing. Abenaki was a school, like a mission of rug hooking in 1900, 1901. That was put forward by Helen Albee, who was the teacher and the designer of all of the rugs. They're very hard to spot, and they always come. If you find them, they have a label on them, and they are clipped. So I don't think that this is an Abenaki rug because this is not clipped. But this is a nice variety of tweeds. It's got some nice outlining. It's very graphic. It's a really lovely rug. 200 is not crazy. I think more realistically, a better price for this rug. I mean, if there's a buy it now and you love it, or make an offer and you love it, I'd offer like 150 and or even like 140 and see if they come back at 160, something like that. I think 200 is a little steep for it because it needs immediate attention. However, it's a rug with it's an older rug. It's a geometric. It's absolutely a beautiful folk piece to hang on a wall. No matter what kind of house you live in or what kind of collection you've got, this probably matches beautifully. the way that the colors have faded has created a really irregular pattern that's very exciting. It really is a lovely piece. And there is a little loss. I'm looking at the bottom of it, right? So it does. I don't think that. I think that this being mounted is enough, right? It's not glaring the damage. It's not distracting. There aren't ragged holes in the center of the thing. I think if somebody mounted this, or if you feel confident mounting it and hanging it that way, it could be an exquisite piece of folk art. Whether it's geometric or horizontal, it's absolutely stunning. So, in that regard, is something that you're putting up on the wall worth $200? Of course it is. But you might be able to get it for less because geometrics just don't sell for very much right now. Even at larger auctions like Sotheby's type Christie's auctions, it's very rare for a geometric to hit 200 unless it's a room-sized rug. And to me, I'm thinking that this is more of a welcome mat-sized rug. I don't know, but it might be worth chasing because it is pretty. You think the pink and brighter colors are newer? No, no. I think they're the same age. I think they've just faded from maybe primary red and maroon. It's amazing how many colors have pink or fuchsia as a base. Sometimes ones that aren't even in the red family, like lots of blues turn red. So it was probably a different color, but I don't think we're seeing. Did we see the reverse of this one? Oh, this is the reverse. So we are seeing, oh, wait a minute, is that the reverse? Hard to tell. I think that's the reverse because that's folded back. No, there's not a lot of fading. Depends on where, oh, I bet that's the two. Wait a minute, let's clock this now. So this is like a mathematical memory quiz. So I'm trying to figure out which corner this is. And let's look again. Is it a corner or is it the middle left? Sorry, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm being annoying. Wait a minute. Two black side by side. Oh gosh, wait a minute. I'm accidentally deleting slides as we go. No, it's not. Gosh. It's got to be, let me see. One more. One more. This is going to drive me nuts. No, that's not what we want. You know, I think there is a lot of fading. Judy says, looks like a kind of sage green in the center on the back. You know, I'm going to say there is a lot of fading because I'm not seeing that repeated. So I'm thinking it's faded so much that what we're seeing on the back, I'm not It is a corner. It is a corner. I think it's the bottom right-hand corner. I think it's the bottom. Yes, Andrea, you think that too. Took some time to get there. You know, it's not as much fading as I thought, to be honest. It's not that much fading. Of course, we're not seeing the bright reds. We're seeing those cranberry ones, which are just, yeah, a little bit more primary. When I'm looking at this close-up, it's absolutely beautiful material. It looks like it was tweed or something. It's really, really pretty, which makes me think it's a little bit later, not Victorian. Well, I think I said 1920. I'd stick with 1920. I don't think it's a Victorian piece, although I think it's a Victorian era pattern. It could be a homemade design, but it doesn't need to be. It could be, though. It could be. If it's a commercial pattern that someone's done, because we see a lot of patterns that look like this. If it's a commercial pattern that someone's done, man, they really trimmed the border, right? This is like when you're, 10 and you cut your own bangs. It's that kind of a thing, and it's really had it. But of course, people put these things down, and particularly geometric rugs, they were not meant for company. They were not meant for the best rooms. And you were not thinking about 100 years from now what they would look like and how they would hold up. It was just, can you imagine? Not a thought, right? So, people finish things the way that they were taught to finish things. And if your mother was a hooker or your neighbor is a hooker and they show you how to do it this way, and this is how they do their edge, that's how you're going to do your edge too. And at least the rug is still around. That one can easily be saved. I think you can get it for a little bit less, but, when I think about it, $200 for a piece of wall art, come on. It's 2023. We know what things cost at this moment, right? I mean, some people gas up their huge vehicle and it's almost $200. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, gosh, I didn't get very far at all today, did I? it's fun to just, I'm feeling a bit cozy while I'm sitting here in this. I'm in a weird setting here, and the camera's hitting me at a weird angle, but it's very relaxing to be back in this chair. I might do a few more episodes here. It feels good. This is like where we started, isn't it? It's really funny. So I will be with you. Today's Wednesday. I will be with you Sunday. And I'll have videos for you in between. I'm going to crank out a bunch of orders. I'm so happy there's orders coming in. I love getting orders, right? I'm always grateful to get orders. I'm always grateful to Patreon. I have another Patreon newsletter just about ready to blow. And then we'll be looking at Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving next Thursday, next Friday. My buddy Rebecca being with us live. That'll be super fun. And in the meantime, I'm going to be working on some orders, and I'm going to be working on our crossword puzzle because I want to get you the crossword puzzle at least a day in advance so you can work on it. And for those of you that didn't do our first crossword night, it's basically going to be a night that revolves around a crossword puzzle, which I will post first. And it'll be a rug theme, right? It won't be all rug stuff because then it gets boring. And for beginners, it's real specific. But there'll be a lot of kind of rug trivia, a little bit of general trivia filling in this crossword puzzle. And you fill it in as much as you can. And you do cheaty peaties as much as you want because it doesn't matter. It's just for fun. And the ones that you can't fill in, right, we'll do together during cocktail night on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for all of the answers, of course, there'll be a conversation. It'll open up a conversation where we look at slides and we look at rugs. So all of the questions in the crossword puzzle will bring us to a series of slides that are relevant to rug making and textiles and things that we love. And we will be filling in the answers as we go. So I will be sure to get you the crossword puzzle definitely up before Friday night, right? When I would be on normally, because then I'll be at my mom's celebrating her birthday. And you fill in as much as you can at your leisure, or you can just print it out during the show or before the show and fill it in as we go, or maybe you don't want to do it at all. So that'll be coming up. I'll make sure that you see the post for that, and that's how that works. It's interactive, but we're not gambling or doing anything naughty. But it'll be a lot of fun. And I will really look forward to being together on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanksgiving is next Thursday. Isn't it? Isn't it next Thursday? Now, don't scare me. I think it's next Thursday. Today's the 15th. Yeah, today's my mom's birthday. And gosh, I guess I'm supposed to bring the car in next week. And then Thanksgiving is the 23rd. Yep, next. Not this Thursday. Not tomorrow. It's a week from tomorrow. Get going with those recipes or just get your hooking on your lap. I'll be with you on Thanksgiving morning too. Have a great tonight, everybody. Have a great weekend until Sunday when I see you again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Crossword Puzzle Times. And if you need me in the meantime, I'm at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com.